Hi, I'm Charles Foster, 7th period Missile Vary, AP Lit class. This is my video analysis of 1984. The question that I chose is number 3. Novels and plays depict characters caught between colliding cultures. National, whether it's national, regional, ethnic, religious, or institutional. Such collisions can call a character's sense of identity into question. Select a novel or play, 1984, in which a character responds to such a cultural collision. Then craft a well-organized response in which you describe the character's response and its relevance to the work as a whole. I'm going to start by describing the culture, the two colliding cultures that's in 1984. One is Winston. He, in and of itself, is a culture because he's different from what his government wants. Okay, he's different because he hates his totalitarian government led by Big Brother. But they didn't collide just because he hated it. They didn't collide because he committed thought crime. Okay, they didn't collide because of a diary or the words that were written in the diary. There was a catalyst that was added to the mixture that caused an explosion of events that could not be changed once started, could not be stopped once it was initiated. That catalyst was the note from the woman Julia. That was the catalyst. Why? Because it was so radically different from the culture, from the group mind thinking of 1984, where it was prevalent that you do as Big Brother says, because everything you do is seen, heard, constantly watched. It's almost like you're on the edge of a cliff, surrounded on all sides. You're like on a small cliff, and there's hungry wolves at the bottom of the cliff with spikes, dangerous things. That's how I guess you can say edgy it was, because the slightest thought crime is death. The slightest sense of rebellion is death. Why? Because you've learned that the government in that story is not all it seems. You've learned that you can be who you want, and they can't have that, because learning is rebellion. Once you learn this, you rebel. You are no longer part of that system, and that's what Winston did. He was no longer part of the system. But I guess what you could say, what disappointed me was, and this is probably coming from my democracy lenses, because we live in a democracy country. I was disappointed because I expected more of a fighting spirit from Julia. I mean, not from Julia, from Winston. Not so much from Julia. I could tell from what I read that their brief infatuational affair, I don't even say love, because she had said that she'd been with all these guys, and Winston was like, it's impure. The love is supposed to be pure. I could tell that it was an infatuation, something that was very temporary. I mean, I think they both knew they were going to get caught eventually. But what I expected was more of a fighting spirit. Even though they tortured him with his worst fears, just generally broke him and rebuilt him. I expected him to, I don't know. I expected him to die believing in something good. I expected him to be a martyr. And I guess that was a reality shock for me, because not everybody's going to be a martyr. And I think what Orwell was trying to convey in 1984 as a whole is that, with that particular event, is that we shouldn't give up our individual thoughts to the government. We shouldn't let them take it from us. because that was a possible reality, a possible future of our current government here in the United States or anywhere else in the world. That's a possibility. A country ruled by hatred and war, but with a mask of peace and love, the mask of family. But under it is the most terrible thing you can imagine, which is complete and utter anarchy. Because that's what it was. It was chaos. It was controlled chaos, which is the worst kind. It was a prison. And to answer the questions in part 2, I've grown as a learner because of Miss Silveria's class. I think the most important idea that I have learned in her class is to make a change. When I first got in there, the one thing I kept hearing her say is that once you truly learn this stuff, it's impossible not to change. It's impossible to stay the way you are. You can't unlearn it once you've learned it. And I think there might be some people who regret learning what they learned, because now they're like, it's literally a war within yourself to not change, to not take it somewhere else and make a difference. My belief in God probably has facilitated this change. I'm not going to claim to be a saint, because I'm not. My belief in myself, self-esteem has never been a really big thing for me. So my belief in myself is probably the biggest thing to facilitate this change. As I learn the new words, as I look at the quotes, as I analyze the quotes, as I wrote narratives about the pictures, it was creating, I want to say not a new me, but new thoughts within me. So essentially, yeah, you can say a new me. The disagreement, though, that people might have is how to make a change. And I'm talking in terms of Miss Silveria's class. There might be conflicting opinions on how to make that change outside of Miss Silveria's class. The disagreement could be found in why there should be a change. Is it even possible to have that change? All the concepts that we learn in there about compassion, about vulnerability, about isolation, it's all leading up to that big concept of make a change. That's what I think is the biggest in that class. It's also helped me with my analytical skills. I'm not sure if that's relevant, but it has. But generally, I think that the best way that I'm going to take what I've learned and spread it throughout whoever I encounter is unforeseeable for now. And I really don't want to know how I'm going to do it yet, because I'm still growing as a person. And I think that if I knew already, it would mean that I've reached a leveling out point for a certain period of time, and I haven't, because this is only his first semester. So, but as far as the first semester, I can definitely say that there has been a definite change in me, and I'm trying to change things around me. And I'm not going to lie, it's quite difficult. I think that with AP Lit class, with Miss Silveria, I think ultimately with God, that it can happen. It can really happen. And thank you to all the viewers and all my classmates who have incited a change in me. I haven't always been the most social person, so I thanks to you guys for helping and listening to me. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Wait and see if what we learned, Room 110, wait and see if what we learned in Miss Silveria's class is really going to make a difference. And it should. Because that's what we learned. That if we have compassion, that if we're, vulnerable, then we can indeed make a change. Thank you.